So, Mr. Stevenson, I want to follow up on some of the answers you gave to my colleague, Mr. Pohl. Let's go back to the disciplinary reports for a quick minute. The most recent two that you have for assault on a DOC employee and threats. When I read the information about it, it goes a little bit beyond just talking with my hands.
And good morning
Here
to
we
you.
go.
Okay, so this hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Mr. Robert E. Stevenson, inmate number 387089. He's serving a total effective sentence of 10 years execution suspended under 4 years concurrent, followed by 3 years probation for possession with intent to sell and dispense narcotic and also failure
Okay,
to
so he's out there
appear
getting money.
first degree. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of February 12, 2026. This is at, like you said, 50% eligibility. There is no written input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for this offender, which has been reviewed and shows that the offender finds himself actively participating in his OAP recommended addiction services tier 2, anticipated completion August 11, 2025, and also the facility-based domestic violence program, anticipated completion 17th of September 2025.
Bro, look like you can't stay awake. He's on them M8 tizzles. Bro, smacked.
For 5 or 7 day job assignment. This is according to the RT3M query I ran on this case. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. All right, Mr. Stevenson, this is now your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole if you begin.
Good morning. I would like to just thank you for the opportunity to be here and to even be considered. I take responsibility for all my actions in the past that led me here. I would like to think that I have learned and found my way and breaking my wrongs from my mistakes. I rehabilitated myself during my incarceration from programming and mental health evaluations that I did on myself and just emotional evaluations. Planning for my future and finding myself capable of being able to participate in the world. I have a job lined up for me, and I would also like to pursue some college experience at the University of Phoenix on online courses. I also have pretty good family support. They're excited for me to come home and be reunited with them. I've also made a few mistakes during my incarceration from tickets and whatnot, but I have grown from those mistakes and I bettered myself from all the ups and downs. That's all I have to share. Thank you.
All MATs aside, bro definitely taking accountability. He seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. So, it seems like he's going to do the right thing. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders.
All right, Mr. Stevenson, we appreciate you putting something together to tell us about yourself today. We are going to be asking you some questions. We will then deliberate and give you our decision. Mr. Pohl will begin with the questions this morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Morning, Mr. Stevenson.
Morning.
So I'm going to ask you some questions to try to get to your suitability for parole. And you touched on a lot of things that are important there. Want to first touch on the last thing that you touched on. And that was the tickets and the whatnot.
Because they bring that up every time.
In January, there was assault on DOC personnel and threats. Can you talk a little bit about those tickets and what you learned from them? Because that's what you said that you learned.
Yeah.
And how you would handle things different.
Of course. So I would like to just start by saying that was a huge mistake on my part, and we both probably handled ourselves in a very bad manner at that time, and I feel like we both could have learned a lot from that situation, but he mostly because I'm in tans and he's in blue, right?
But they always write it up like you're just this menace.
It was just a situation where I was heated in the moment,
Exaggeration.
and I was finding it hard to follow his order when he was telling me to puff up, and I still would like to explain my story. So I was using my hands to explain the story, and that's when I accidentally had hit his hand while he was trying to cuff me. So under DOC, that's considered assault on a DOC officer. how I would handle myself differently. I would just try to explain to a higher authority going forward. Instead of just trying to explain it to a CO, I would try to bring it to a lieutenant's attention or maybe a captain's attention the next time. And I have learned that the authority is always right in this situation. Really, there's really nothing I can do. Like, whatever, when they say I have to cover up, I have to cover up, and I have to abide by the story that abide by the ruling that they're making at the time. And then I could try to file motions or fight it from there through paperwork instead of just trying to be argumentative.
I mean, and that's pretty important to understand both in there and out here, right?
Of course. Yes.
If you have to deal with something, you deal with it, after the fact.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, one of the things that I'm concerned with as well is in October, there was a accused specimen and disobeying a direct order tickets. And I'm concerned about that because you score out as a 5 when it comes to substance use. So can you talk a little bit about those tickets there?
Yeah, the refusal to give a specimen, I was finding it honestly hard to use the bathroom at the time. Within the limit, they weren't giving me any water. I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but I didn't have enough water and I couldn't pee. And I have touched on a lot of my addiction issues, though. I know my addiction is a 5, but I have put myself in tier 2, and I've been trying to go to a lot of NA.
We're gonna talk about that. I want to get to that, but
okay.
Refuse specimen piece. So, have you been asked for specimens at other times during this incarceration?
Yeah, no, that was the only time. And I found it like I felt like I was having like a retention of, what is it called? Like retention of urine but there's been other times where I have been able to give a specimen. So yeah.
So, you've had outside of that, you've had no tickets for, like Pruno, no tickets for possession of drugs or anything like that while you're in the facility?
No, sir.
Good.
Okay.
None at all.
No, that's fine.
Good for him.
We just need to get there and we need to address that.
Rome wasn't built in a night.
And then, there's the destruction of property one, and I understand that. It's a bed sheet and a clothesline and how that happened, I get it. So let's move on from there and you're, have you just finished tier 2 or are you in the last couple of sessions of it?
Yeah, actually today is my last session.
Okay. What have you learned?
I learned that addiction is a very powerful thing and recovery is nonstop. So just because I finished tier 2 or I finished programming doesn't mean that I've completed recovery. Right? Recovery has to continue on throughout this entire time and my recovery has to continue from the day I leave this building. It's going to get even more pertinent that I pay attention to my recovery. Because it's going to be harder to stay sober outside than inside.
Right. Because you know how to negotiate things in there now, not using, but come back up here and you're faced with, the same people, places, and things that you used around when you're last out of here, right? So, have you ever engaged in recovery out here?
Yes.
So you've gone to meetings and really tried and stuff like that. I know that you've had a number of programs, but
yeah.
What was your longest period of sobriety?
I've had 2.5 years sobriety.
How'd you do that?
Meetings. I had a good girlfriend. I had family support, and I was working.
So, what were you going to for meetings?
I would go to like 2 a week.
Okay. And now AA, NA?
NA. I would go to IOP sometimes as well. Not court ordered. I was going by my own accord.
Okay. So how did the NA work when you used it?
When I used it properly, I liked it because it gave me an outlet to actually speak to people and let them know that I'm having problems. And there's a lot of good people there that will, if you reach out to them, they'll be there for you. They'll be like a shoulder to cry on or someone to lean on and pick you up when you're down. So I didn't mind them.
Good.
Okay. And were you the kind of guy that went to a meeting and when it started and left when it ended? Were you the kind of guy that did the meeting after the meeting and did stuff in the recovery community with other people in recovery?
So honestly, I found that staying after the meeting is just as important as the meeting, because that's when you really start to congregate with people there and you start to get to know them as friends, and that's when you start to find your sponsors and really start to get to know people.
I'm not too familiar with the meetings and everything, but from what he's saying, it sounds like his head's on point. It sounds like he's doing the right thing. So salute to him.
So that's actually where the magic happens.
Right.
Okay.
You know, and being able to get out there and do things in recovery. You're 30. You ever gone? Well, NA tends to be a younger crowd anyway. Ever done any AA stuff?
A little bit, and I started to notice that AA is getting more acceptable to people that are not alcoholics. So a while ago when I first started going to them, I felt like they were just more pertaining towards the alcoholism.
Yeah, isn't that Alcoholics
But I think they're
Anonymous,
more
though?
open-minded now.
I don't know.
But it depends on the group, obviously, the person who runs the group. And
So you do have experience. That's
Yeah.
somebody.
yeah.
I'm confused. I don't know.
That's a comment, an accurate comment that would be made by somebody who's given us a shot. So the other thing is, have you ever? I know that they're. I don't believe that they're there in Oregon, but have you ever heard of CCAR?
I've heard of it.
Connecticut
Yes,
Community for Addiction.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, so do you have tablets there in Oregon?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so one of the things on the tablet is for CCAR, and they have a program called Recovery Coach, recovery coaching, right? So you know how you go to a meeting and you get a sponsor and they can help you with step work and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So a recovery coach can help you with everything else, right? If you need connection in the community to different recovery resources, that recovery coach is there.
That'll be a big help, actually, probably.
And that's it, right? Because oftentimes the mission that you're on is to try to go home, and instead of using again, not. And so how do we not, you know? And putting those resources into play is what's going to help you not do this getting back, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what we're looking at. I would suggest, whatever happens here today, I would suggest that you connect with CCAR, and that you find a coach, and they're there, and they're people with lived experience. It's not like going to a counselor or a therapist or somebody that has lived experience that knows the landscape of recovery. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
So, You're also in DV right now, domestic violence, right? So, and I know that you have over a month left there, right? You got maybe 5 weeks left in the program. So what have you been in there, like 2 months already?
Yeah, we've had about 8 segments.
Hey, and what do you do? Is it once a week?
Twice a week.
Twice a week. So you've been in it for about a month?
Yeah, a little more because we missed a few sessions due to the counselor not coming in. So it's about a month and a half, maybe. Yeah.
About a month and a half. Yeah. So what have you learned from the DV program so far?
That there's all different types of abuses, like not just physical, right? There's emotional, there's mental, there's financial abuse, and those can all be used as ways for
physical and mental,
an abusive
sure.
partner to assert control. And I've also learned that I need to learn how to control I need to personally learn how to figure out how to argue in a healthy way, right? So when I have something that's bothering me I need to be able to address that to her and tell her that without me just getting frustrated or without saying it in a disrespectful way. I need to let her know what the issues are without triggering her in a bad manner, you know, or making it into an argument.
That's some good insight. And one of the important things, whether it's pain or not, when you come out here, there's another half of that DV program. So it's like while you're out here and while you're in that, you know, dealing with whatever you're dealing with, you know, you're in a program that can help you along the way. You know, so that's a really good thing. So you're going to let's see. So let's talk a little bit further. So you're a pizza maker?
Yeah, at base.
Yeah. And so what do you think about challenging yourself a little bit with like finishing up the GED or doing something like that?
I have my high school diploma.
You do have your high school diploma? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I missed that. I totally missed that.
And a couple of community college credits? Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. And I stated that I would like to go back to University of Arizona. It's online courses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna go after?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I just know that I want to get some credits on and try to get some experience.
It's never too late.
Facts.
You know, so getting to that would be incredibly helpful. You just to finish up, and you want to stay with your mom in Danbury, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I'm going to pass it along to other board members to see if they have questions. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. So, Mr. Stevenson, I want to follow up on some of the answers you gave to my colleague, Mr. Paul. Let's go back to the disciplinary reports for a quick minute. The most recent two that you have for assault on a DOC employee and threat. When I read the information about it, it goes a little bit beyond just talking with my hands and hitting the officer.
But that's because the officer probably exaggerated.
There were threats made. You raised your voice. You got very aggressive. So when my colleague asked you to explain what you learned from that situation, I want to hear a little bit more about your behavior and what you learned in terms of how you would handle that differently. I don't want, aside from the fact that he's the correctional officer and people in authority, you have to be respectful. But what did you learn about your own behavior, and how could you have handled that differently?
Okay, that's a good question. So how I would handle it differently is,
got a good attitude.
I feel like I'm a lot more calm when it comes to situations like that. I try to, ever since that incident, I've tried to assess everything and try to assess the other person's, what is the other person seeing of me? Am I the aggressor in this situation? So let me take a step back and see if I'm really the one that's making this situation worse, or is it the other person? Because sometimes in the heat of the moment, we can't really decipher that so quickly, right? So I've learned that my actions just need to take time, and I need to think and be relaxed in situations like that before I just act out. So to be honest, I'm mostly a calm, easygoing person for the most part. I mean, I know you would probably see differently from that specific incident, but for the
It does
most part,
not put you in a good light.
I understand that. But for the most part, I'm a pretty easygoing guy.
A lot of us are.
Right. Well, that answer I appreciate a little bit. To me, it shows a little bit more insight. The other answer is appropriate because of your setting, right? That is very appropriate. And as Mr. Pohl kind of alluded to, when you're out in the community, if you're stopped by a police officer, you want to respect the authority and why, they're maybe questioning you at the time.
But it's tough when they're so rude to you.
Your
So I
answer to
understand.
me kind of goes back to a little bit, it is similar to what you're learning in the domestic violence. And when you were describing what you learned, I wrote communication.
Communication is
Right?
key.
You talked about there's all types of abuse and arguing in a healthy way. We all disagree, right? There's always going to be disagreements. It's how you communicate throughout that disagreement.
For sure.
Right? And I'm hearing from you, maybe a timeout, you need to walk away, and you need to assess how your behavior looks to the other person. I read that, and it clearly reads that you were responding, your body language was in an aggressive manner.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And with respect to the refusal on specimen, when I read your substance abuse history, you've been in a lot of programs, you've given a lot of drug screens. It's just part of treatment, right? It's when you're giving negative screens, it's great because everybody sees it. It's a way to verify how well you're doing in some instances.
Yeah.
So when we read, refusing over a 3-hour period of time,
it looks like hours.
Yeah, it does. It does, regardless of, what your explanation is. And also know drinking too much water is not good for the specimens either.
Diluted.
You know that. So I am also interested, going back to your history, is that were you clean for 3 months before you were sentenced?
I got clean on my own before I came.
Good for him.
And
Yeah.
were you in the community when that happened, or were you incarcerated?
Yes, I was in the community.
All right. How did you do that?
Just will, and I didn't want to come in. I knew I was gonna have to come in, and I didn't want to have to be here sick and have to be in a little room sick. I would rather have been with the people that I love and that I care about, and they would be able to help me a little bit and be with my cats and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you were very motivated. You surrounded yourself with support, things that make you feel happy or comfortable. It's similar areas that Mr. Pohl was talking, or you were describing to Mr. Pohl about meetings, family support from the people at the meetings, the same principles,
Right.
and with your own motivation. Are you currently doing the MAP program?
Yes.
Yeah. I can tell.
Yeah, okay. And how do you feel about that?
I still to start weaning off a little bit because from somebody, the way the doctor explained to me that the MAP program is not supposed to be for years and years of treatment. It's supposed to be for a short amount of time, maybe 2 years of treatment, and then to try to wean off and get back into the community without it. So I think that's kind of where I'm at now. I do want to be home in the community on it still, just because I don't know how, but I would like, when I get home, I would like to start weaning myself off it eventually.
You know, it's a personal decision. Some people go, quite a while living, working, being with their families, having, what you might consider, a regular go about everyday life, right? And maintain that kind of. In some
And for
instances,
anybody who doesn't know, the MAP programs like
so you
Suboxone,
have
methadone,
3 years of
Why are
probation
you
to
locked
follow
up?
this sentence. You were on probation when you got arrested. Why do you think probation might be different this time, or any kind of community supervision?
That's a good question, and honestly, I think that I've been given opportunities before in the past to be supervised in the community, and I failed those opportunities. But this time, my mind is just so set on succeeding, and I feel like at this point in my life, I can't let myself down, and I can't let anyone else down that's around me. And I'm just the motivation is just so much more pertinent to me wanting to actually be better in the community for myself. So I think that's going to be a big reason why I'm going to actually succeed.
Okay. Do you see parole or probation as being helpful to you in the community? Do you see them as a support?
Man, hell no, I'm joking.
At first, yeah, I think so.
Good answer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I always like to say, if you succeed, everybody is perceived as successful. Your success is their success. Nobody gets extra points for violations.
I'm not so sure about that.
Right? So if you do well,
It's not like 90% of the stuff
happy.
is made in prison that we buy on the streets.
But there's a
so.
community safety perspective. There's a safety for you with the drugs you are using, history of overdose.
Ooh.
There is a point where someone needs to step in for your own good as well.
1738.
I say all that because you should look at parole and probation as a resource, as somebody who can help you get into a program, help you get to a place where you can manage your triggers. Yeah. An independent person, sometimes other than your family, will give you a straight answer.
An outside perspective, right?
Yeah. Yes. Because as Mr. Pohl pointed out, you score a 5 for your drug use. That's the highest score for the Department of Corrections. So that's the sole focus of what you need to be working on.
Recovery.
Is your recovery. That's right. You also score high for risk to recidivate. So when they conduct this assessment, you score in that high range of somebody who's going to come back. And they identify things that are called criminal attitudes and behavior patterns. And, I'm sure that when you think about that, you can see how that plays into your thinking, right? The way you think about getting over on things, the way your behaviors, the way you conduct yourselves. And I tell you that because when I read those disciplinary reports, those are some of the characteristics I see. So when we talk about different ways you could have managed that, that's the direction I want you to think. How do I manage my behaviors? Is this criminal thinking? Am I trying to get over on something that in the end is only going to land you back in jail?
Right.
Good outlook.
Okay.
Right.
So those are all my thoughts and questions for today. Is there anything that you think you wish we had asked you or you wanted to tell us?
I think we covered a lot of it.
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Mr. Stevens, you sound pretty good today.
It does.
Right? You sound pretty good. I mean, I'm a little concerned. I didn't really hear like a really strong release plan around your addiction. And you've got time left. I mean, obviously you're not eligible until February of next year, so you have time. And I think you should work on that. Work on setting up those things so that you're not just coming out cold to begin to set them up. Like figure out where the meetings are, figure out there may be a sponsor you can maybe try to connect with CCAR if you can. Anything, just to kind of begin to set those things into motion. Because you can have a serious problem.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and it's not like you haven't taken programming before.
So why is it this time?
And your previous incarceration, you've taken good intentions, bad choices, which should have given you some ideas on how to handle certain things. So, I think you need to give some real serious thought, and maybe you need to write this down for yourself. You can plan it out for yourself on how you really connect with a sponsor on the outside, how you find out where those NA meetings are, so you're really connected even before you leave.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right?
Yeah, thank you.
Relapse is right around the corner.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully it isn't, but yeah.
It can be.
It could be, yes.
But you got to be prepared for it. You got to work hard.
Right.
All right. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
now we're gonna,
absolutely. So, Mr. Stevenson, the parole officer was unable to reach your mother.
Okay.
All right. So, when the parole officer can't reach the sponsor, we always order a halfway house.
Okay.
All right. Just so you know. So, if you talk to your mom, maybe you can get a different phone number or ask her if she's got some messages. Okay. So you can think about that down the road.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay. So we're going to talk about your case now, and then we'll give you our decision.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Pohl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So
I think you showed a lot of growth.
There's definitely change going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got a better outlook on the way things are going. He does have September, other 5-6 weeks to do EV. It's evident through my questioning that he has experience in the community with recovery, and has been in that community before, just by the answers that he gave. And he's open to recovery coaching. He did talk about his DRs, and there's a couple there that are concerning. The last of which was in February, 6 months ago. I want to give Mr. Stevenson an opportunity, but I want to also find out what you both are thinking, because I think that there may be opportunity, since his parole date is in February.
In 2027.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, February 2026.
Yeah,
And the sentence is not till 2027.
I think there's opportunity for him to take some programming that will only complement what he's done already. And that February date also gives us a year out from the last DR. I think that finishing up the DV and doing the New Thoughts program might also add to Mr. Stevenson's ability to get out there and be successful, which is what we're trying to do here. So I would like to hear what that's saying.
Thank you. So I have very similar thoughts to you, Mr. Pohl, in that Mr. Stevenson, I hear change. I hear an individual that recognizes how to stay clean, wants to be a sober person, live in the community. He's educated. He's been in treatment. He's been in treatment, probation, and parole, and he says he's done treatment on his own, which I always find also encouraging. You know, somebody that wants it and does it for themselves tends to be even that much more successful with it. I do think that there is some more work to be done. I appreciate that he finished the tier 2. I agree with Mr. Rodriguez. More thought to a relapse prevention plan would help him when he returns to the community. Having a plan, not just trying to figure it out after you come out. CCAR is also such an important part of recovery nowadays, and they're all over the state. They provide valuable support in addition to meetings. The disciplinary reports, are a big problem when it comes to determining suitability for parole. I do hear some recognition of how that could have been managed differently, better communication, but I think that a greater amount of time, the next panel would be able to maybe not consider it so significant in terms of his parole release. So with all that said, I'm interested in having Mr. Stevenson come back before the panel. In February is what you were thinking?
They said no, but they gave
us
him
a year
time to come back. He's
Yes.
got time till
Gives us
2026.
the
anyways.
opportunity for him to take new thoughts, finish EV, to look at a recovery. And if I'm correct, there's a CCAR recovery community center that's relatively good. It's in Danbury.
Yes.
So that's something that he could write to, get connected with, so that he has support for himself.
Okay.
I think for all certainly mind
Okay.
this. I mean, I think he's, he sounds good today. He's got work to do. He's got work to do. And I think New Thoughts would also be a very good program for him to get involved with helping with some of his decision-making choices that he ends up doing. Even in his PSI offense, he had an issue with the authority there.
Okay.
So I'm going to dial and maybe bring it back.
Sounds good. For institutional adjustment, current offense committed on probation, and inadequate release plan?
Well, there we go. But as I always say, stay blessed and stay free.
Okay.